Alright, hopefully we're live now and the audio is working. So what's up y'all, my name is Nick. This is Crescent Audio channel where we dig into a lot of retro emulators and retro game software for Windows. Today we're looking at Banjo Kazooie, the Banjo, Tooie, and Kazooie games that originally released for the N64. And I was thinking about, doing a run through this game for the stream, and for every game that I want to play, I generally try to find the best setup for each game, the best possible configuration, and I've got a pretty modest gaming PC here. I got an Intel GPU, and not an integrated, but an Intel A750 GPU, so it's not an NVIDIA, not an AMD card, but actually the third option. And most games run pretty well on this machine. Even most modern stuff runs pretty well with 8 gigs of video memory. But like I'm saying, so I try to find the optimal configuration for every emulator that I'm gonna run. If I'm gonna showcase a game on the channel, I want to be playing the best possible piece of software I can to showcase that. And I want the thing that's gonna run as smooth, close to original hardware, and with as few graphical artifacts that make it obvious that this is an old game. So we've got Banjo Kazooie here running in a piece of software called Xenia. Xenia is a little known Xbox 360 emulator, and the app itself is pretty bare bones. You see up here, here's the app running. There's not much going on in the menus. There's CPU options, very light GPU options like trace frame, and some post-processing settings, and that's about it. And you can see this has the old Xbox 360 graphical interface, but you can do stuff like turn on FXAA, you can turn on some resampling and sharpening options here and so forth. But basically this is running an emulated console of the old Xbox 360 OS. It's basically like a light version of Windows with DirectX that can play games. And so the question is, what is the definitive version of Banjo Kazooie / Banjo Tooie? Because I'll show these in a minute on the N64 emulator, but as far as the game itself, like the polygonal character models and the world maps and all the little elements of the game, they're pretty much identical to the N64 version. So there's not a whole lot of difference in the meat of the 3D game itself, but where the big difference comes in is the sharpness of the 2D assets and the textures that are used all over the game and the HUD. Basically these assets that you see here had to be cleaned up from scratch by the developers. There's no way to really upsample this from the N64 to something that looks good. It would just have to be redone like they did here. And that's pretty much the main reason I say the Xbox Live Arcade versions are the definitive way to play Banjo Kazooie. But this is the only emulator that I'm aware of that runs these games, and being that it's so light in options, there's no save states, there's none of that. So if the software itself doesn't have the save functionality or all the functionality you need, or even the functionality to like remap the control inputs, that's not here either. So the controller mappings have to be just default when you start Xenia. There is a way to remap them with configuration files, but we won't go into all that. We'll just assume that you're going to run this program by default. So once you obtain your ROM of Banjo Kazooie, wherever you're going to get that, Xenia itself, since like we said, this is emulating the Xbox 360, when you run this game, this is the real legit ROM of the copy of the software, but it's still gonna run as if it's in trial mode, as if it's in like a mode where you can only collect 3 jiggies, and once you do that, the game restarts itself, so it doesn't let you make any progress past 3 jiggies. And that is not anything to do with the ROM itself. This is the full bore ROM. The fact that it's running in trial mode is a side effect of the way it's running in the Xbox console with Xenia. So basically, you're gonna have a shortcut to Xenia, and if you're gonna be running Banjo or running these games to play, you're gonna need to do this to your shortcut. You have to go into the target of your shortcut where it's executing Xenia.exe, and you have to add this little flag to the end of it, -- license _ mask -1, and that will turn off the trial mode that's in effect for all these games. It'll affect Banjo, Tooie, Kazooie, and any of them that are released on Xbox Live Arcade. Because once you figure out that, that's the main issue you're going to run into if you're trying to emulate this game for play on Xbox 360 emulator Xenia. Now, you can play this in an N64 emulator all the same, but there's one major difference. The Xbox versions do not require you to collect every piece while the current level is still active. In other words, the Xbox versions save your progress as you play, and the N64 version, if you die before getting the complete total of collectibles you need, if you die, it resets you from the beginning. So that functionality alone, the more modern progress saving functionality of the Xbox version, to me makes it worth obtaining this copy. There's other things like the fact that it's in 16:9 aspect ratio versus 4/3. That's kind of noticeable. So the game's running natively in widescreen, it looks like. And other than that, I still get this kind of tearing effect as I move through the depth of the level. There's like a kind of like a ripple, almost like a wave of water rippling over the screen, and you can probably see it on the emulator, or on the display over here. I noticed that effect on the N64 and the Xbox version, so I imagine it's something to do with the way the game is, just the way the game renders itself. So yeah, like I said, Xenia is an Xbox 360 emulator. It's very bare bones. It's made just to run the software and nothing else. There's no bonus features, nothing. There's really nothing bonus. Let's see. Okay, Banjo Kazooie. So here's going to be this exact same game for N64, just an N64 ROM. And besides the obvious branding being changed from Nintendo to Microsoft and the other version, it's more or less the other versions. But hey, what's up, Green? Good morning, bro. I was just talking about Banjo Kazooie being emulated for the Xbox 360 versus Banjo being emulated for the N64. Just kind of looking at some of the differences in the way these games run on their respective hardware, being that they're basically the same game, just the Xbox version has a couple of little alterations that they made to the old N64 game to kind of like shoehorn it onto a more modern platform. So I was just kind of showing off the Xbox 360 gameplay of Banjo versus the N64 gameplay, like each version running in its respective emulator. Yeah, I was like searching for last night. I was like, hey, I think I want to play Banjo Kazooie at some point, and I was looking for what's the definitive way to play this game, and I know that it's only been released, you know, for the N64 and then like one other time for the Xbox 360. So this game never got released. It never got like remastered for anything newer than the 360, even though it's like a huge title in the retro games space. You know, like everybody loves Banjo Kazooie, but it's funny that the game doesn't really have like a legit modern full-featured remaster or even re-release. Like the most modern version you can play is the Xbox version, which is interesting. It's been forever since I've actually completed Banjo. I got it in summer of '97. I remember when I got it, I was like, I wasn't thrilled with the character aesthetic of the game in general, like the bear and the bird and all that. I was kind of like, wasn't necessarily my cup of tea, but the game was so excellent that it just grew on me anyway, as it does. This is such a great game. I'm finding some of the mechanics with the collision and some of the game mechanics are a little annoying. Like I'm thinking like, man, I played through this all these years ago and probably didn't find it nearly as annoying back then. So okay, yeah, so I was a minute ago, right when you joined the stream, I was playing the Xbox version, and that's kind of what I was wanting to do, was briefly on this stream, because I wasn't gonna like play through this game or anything right now, because I'm not very good at it currently, but I was just gonna show some of the difference between the two, like because they basically run. Like, the N64 version runs really identically. Like, I thought the Xbox version might look a little sharper or something, but it really doesn't. It's actually, like, more or less the exact same game, with just upgraded or slightly enhanced assets. Like, cleaned up HUD elements, and then there's various parts of the game where the sync of the audio, because of the way like the N64 was rendering stuff, Rare apparently was programming in the slowdown to the audio, like to some of the audio sections, like it's set to play with the N64 slowdown in mind, and so when it runs on the Xbox it plays too fast because it's accommodating a slowdown that doesn't exist anymore. So there's Xbox, I'm sorry, there's N64. You see how like you can see Gruntilda here, her little 2D character element. They're pretty low res. but everything else sharpens up since it's a low polygon count to begin with for this game. Like the up res on the 360 isn't really that noticeable. Oh, wow, it's Gruntilda. Tootie. That's hilarious. Game over. But yeah, that's what I was just wanting to do on this little stream here, was just the idea came up, or the idea for me in my head is always like, hey, let's showcase the game, or let's find the best software configuration that exists currently for this game, and let's showcase it, or let's play it like in the best possible light. And that's what drove me to the Xbox emulator. You know, because normally I had a 360 briefly because my cousin gave it to me, but I never like played the 360 or really bought any games for it back in the day, I don't think. But yeah, you see Xbox Live Arcade, everything runs, it's real snappy, and you see the Banjo Kazooie, like the main logo is like much sharper. All the text is in a font that isn't super ugly and pixelated. And you'll get this is one little artifact of the Xbox Live Arcade system. See this gamer profile not online? And you can fix this as well. You can make this thing stop nagging you, but when I tried it earlier, it made my controller stop working, so I figured it wasn't that big a deal to... And the game is now saving my progress, which is additionally, like, if you are messing with Xbox 360 ROMs and you get this one, you'll download Banjo Kazooie and it'll run and it'll say this is a trial version, you can only get 3 jiggies, and then the game is gonna reset. And I saw that last night and I was like, well, I know I downloaded the correct version, like this is the real full game. And sure enough, it's just a setting with the Xenia. It is a argument you can put in the command when you're running the Xenia.exe. You can tell it to run without the trial mask mode on. This is basically like a mode that they created just to make Xbox Live Arcade games run in a non-full version mode. But the controls are a little bit better as well on the Xbox version. They're more streamlined. Like the N64 version, I always have to like struggle with the controls a little bit. But essentially the way the game's being rendered, like the frame rate, the polygons and everything, it looks identical to the 64. It's like literally one-to-one. It's rendering the same way on my screen and everything. So if you're gonna be playing through these, I would say, like, if save states are important to you and emulator features are important to you, then you're gonna want to play the N64 version. But for anybody else, I would say try to get the Xbox version of these running. Because, like, I know when I play through this whole thing, just having the text not all ugly is gonna be like what does it for me. And the widescreen 16:9 aspect ratio, which you can do on the 64 with like a hack, but I think it's running natively in widescreen here. Yeah, it's like it's essentially like exactly the N64 game, just with like modern Xbox UI elements, and the save functionality is changed. So like if you the total, like the note total that I've got right now, that progress actually gets recorded. Even if I exit, I can exit the game and say yes. And when I go back, it's gonna have all my collectibles. And so it'll say, this game has features which require an Xbox Live enabled gamer profile, but you're offline. That's just a little annoyance that can be dealt with, but it only pops up when you're starting the game anyway. Oh, as well, the camera controls have been standardized in the Xbox versions, and in Tooie, it actually has like a free camera. Although this version still has like the digital free camera where it's not really free. Tooie has like an almost fully modern camera. But yeah, see, I've got all my totals of everything I collected are still there. Whereas N64, you exit this stage, you got to find everything all over again. And that's like more of a memory issue with the way modern games are programmed to, you know, everything is constantly being saved to a disk somewhere. And these old games were programmed to basically be a ROM. It like just reads from the game memory, and you're playing through a session, and any progress that you make during that playthrough will be reset if you restart the game. That's the old design philosophy that's present in the N64 Banjo that they like fixed. Yeah. Now you gotta get 10 jiggies, or 10 jiggies to get past this Mumbo's Mountain here. I wish you could do a like a flying running jump like you can in Mario. You know how Mario can do his like kick jump? It's one thing about Banjo that it's kind of like the pace of the game is just a little bit slower than Mario. More methodical, more almost like a Zelda mix between Zelda and Mario. With all the power-ups and items. And there's a way to do the Talon trot where I can walk on Kazooie. I think some of those moves I have to actually go learn again from bottles. Where you at, Bottles? Maybe I have to go all the way to the top of the mountain. Are you familiar with this game, Green? There we go. Oh, you haven't played this one? Look at this shit right here. Look how hard this is for me to aim. Just to aim a egg into that thing just now, it took me like 50 egg shots to get 3 hits. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking about. Like when I started this up this morning, I was like, let me title this "The Definitive Way to Play Banjo Kazooie / Banjo Tooie," because I know that I wanted this information last night, and there wasn't necessarily any whole lot about it online. There's basically 2 threads, like 2 web pages. Like, let's see. Like, I ended up on this Reddit page right here, and this is where it told me to, like, where the arguments are for the shortcut on my desktop, the license mask argument. But yeah, like basically there's this lone web page is like out there as far as resources on how to run this game properly without the trial mode. So if you are gonna play Banjo, yeah, this is probably the way to run it. Run it on Xenia, get the Xbox Live version, and run it on the Xenia emulator and play the Xbox version. I certainly would. If for nothing else, just because of the save, the progress. Is that N64 version? I mean, having save states can offset the lack of in-game saving, but still, you would be relying on save states to avoid having like a game over or start over thing. Here's the Talon Trot. Basically on this Banjo-Kazooie, like on the first level, you've got to go to all the little molehills and learn your moves. Like, you learn the more advanced in-game moves one by one. So you won't have the full move set until you run through all these little molehills and do this. But yeah, great game. Like, that's what I wanted to know. Like, what's the if someone's gonna do a playthrough of this game, you know, this year in 2024, like, what's the optimal way to run this game? Like, what's the way to have it set up? Dang. Oh, I've got to turn into the termite, I forgot. I can't turn into the termite till Mumbo Jumbo. Till I return the coins to Mumbo Jumbo. Yeah, this is a cool game, cool collectathon. It's one of them games where you can sit there and just kill 10 hours hunting for all these collectibles. What's up, Long Live Crow? How you doing? We were just discussing the differences between the Xbox Live Arcade version and the N64 version of Banjo Kazooie and Banjo Tooie. I was mentioning how If you're able to get the Xbox Live versions of this game up and running, probably the definitive way to play this. A little bit sharper textures in the N64, although the gameplay is pretty much identical. I haven't beat Banjo Kazooie personally since like '97 when it came out. But I remember getting the game because there wasn't a whole lot else out for the 64. This is like after beating Mario and after having Mario for quite a while and being bored with it. Going to Toys R Us, getting this game because I knew it was like the only 3D platformer that was probably decent. And I remember getting home with it and booting it up that summer of '97, and being like, I wasn't in love with the characters, but as I played this game, the game itself just grew on me. Like the actual depth of the game really pulled me in. And I did beat this thing all the way back in '97. Need 100 notes. The Jinjos. Hell yeah, another puzzle piece. What's that? 8, so we need two more puzzle pieces and we can proceed to the next level. That's what we'll try to do this initial Mumbo's Mountain. Just to kind of showcase some of the gameplay. But yeah, so Xenia, although it is a very bare bones piece of software, it does exist. Thankfully, the people that made it, I think the Xenia probably hasn't been updated in 10 years. It's like I saw the last commit of it was like from 2015. So this software has not been updated in a decade, you know, like it's, but that's kind of a good thing because it means that it just works. Like whoever pushed this version out, it's the last version that they did, and it works. It runs pretty solid. Almost got all the notes. Are there a lot of other so from what I can tell, there's none. No, there's like none. That's why, it's kind of why I wanted to make this video, because like there's not, the options for Xbox 360 emulation is this. That's basically it. I haven't seen any other software. So like, it's kind of why Banjo and Banjo Tooie are in like a weird place for emulation, because the only viable way to emulate it is N64 or Xbox, and N64 emulators are much more like have a lot more people working on them, a lot more development for the N64 emulation scene, whereas the Xbox 360 there is no emulation scene. It's basically this handful of titles that people care about, and I guess we're lucky we have anything that works. I need a transformation for that. Stand on the skull and press X. So now we got our first little transformation of the game, and we're gonna go into this mound here and try to collect the remaining notes. It's only my termite self is able to actually walk on these mounds here. Damn. Dang, man, it's hard. Tricky little section right there. Woo! Hard. Get. Give me that cool backpack. Oh dang. Got extra life. Try not to fall. It's 9. I think the last... I want to say that the last puzzle piece is the 100 notes. Too bad you can't attack with the termite. We have 96 notes. 96. There can't... Can there even be that many? Obviously I missed a couple somewhere. There we go. 99. God dang, there's one. We missed one for real. I think I remember where it is. It's up here on this. I think it's up on this mountainside over here. And that can be the infuriating part of Banjo Kazooie. Like, look at this. I literally have one collectible to find before it'll let me progress anywhere in the game. No idea where it is. There's not one extra note in the whole level. So that's fucked up. There's a note in here that I missed. Yeah, you have to collect collectibles to progress in this game, which kind of sucks. Like, it's cool, but it can get kind of like, wow, it's stupid. Look, like, for this level, you know, there's one note. There's one note out there somewhere that we didn't find. And, yeah, like, until I do, locked in the stage. Which is, it's okay, like, I don't know how else they could have designed the game, you know, like, the collectibles being the item that gates your progress. Yeah, literally at 99 notes. Check Mumbo's cave real quick before we throw in the towel. Turn back into bear and bird. Maybe if yeah, like well, so I'll show you. What it does is it says you need. That's cool. We just died, so it'll put us out at the entrance anyway. See if it'll let us go to number 2. All right. Hey, you were right. I didn't need 100. Jam jars. Some of the text in this game is pretty painfully slow. Cool, yeah, I forgot. I had actually forgotten how the game worked too. Like, it's been forever since I played this. Played it through anyway. I've started a lot of Banjo games, but rarely collect stuff in the first level. Yeah, it's a bit more reasonable. Agree. She knows all of Grunty's disgusting secrets. Oh, I see. It requires a certain number of pieces to unlock further stages. That's kind of cool. It's not as you know, as like draconian as I thought it would be. I noticed that now the camera is acting like a free camera once I got into the hub world here. The way we came, I think. No, not. You activated a magic cauldron. Find two the same color and create shortcuts. Well, this is the only way forward that I saw. Clanker's Cavern. I think Clanker's Cavern is my favorite level. Magic Cauldron. Oh, here we go. Here's another note door. 180. Oh, here's Treasure Trove Cove. Here it is. I forgot I had to jump in that stupid treasure chest. Damn. Kind of hard to aim these. Damn. That cry. need feathers. Oh, damn it. Get this Jinjo. So yeah, guys, that is Banjo Kazooie running on Xbox Live Arcade. If you guys ever need any help setting this up, it's pretty simple, but like I recommend Xenia, the Xbox 360 emulator, and just remember if you are gonna attempt to install this on your own system, that you need to modify the shortcut when you're running this emulator. You need to, the desktop shortcut that's on your system, you'll have to get in here and modify where it says target. You'll have to add this little line, this little command argument at the end, and you'll have the full version like I'm playing. So I think we're gonna do Metal Gear Solid today. So I'm gonna boot that game up here in a few minutes and progress through the end of a playthrough. Should be able to beat the game today. Metal Gear Solid for PS1. Well, I will be back shortly. I'm gonna go take some medicine for my back real fast.